and mash play on your video, and let's see if you did a good job. So right now, go ahead and pause the video and factor 1 through 4. All right, so number 1, if you'll notice on your C term, it's positive. So when it's positive, that tells me I need same signs. Now remember, there's 2 ways to get same signs, both positive or both negative. My middle term tells me that both signs need to be positive. So let's take 45 and list our factors. 1 times 45, 3 times 15, and 5 times 9. Again, my factors need to have the same signs, both positive. Now all 3 of these will multiply and give me 45, but only 9 and 5 will add together to give me 14. So my factored form is x plus 5, x plus 9. Now on number 2, my C term is negative, so that tells me I need opposite signs. That means I need 1 negative and 1 positive. My middle term tells me what my biggest factor should be. So since my middle term is negative, my biggest factor should be negative. So let's list the factors of 28. 1 times 28, 2 times 14, and 4 times 7. My biggest factor needs to be negative, so I'll make 28, 14, and 7 all negative. Now all 3 of these multiply to negative 28, but only 4 and negative 7 will add to give me negative 3. So my factors will be n plus 4, n minus 7. Number 3, the first thing I notice is that I have 2, 2, and 24. There's a GCF there of 2. Your GCF should always be in the front of your parenthesis. So 2 divided by 2 is 1a squared. 2 divided by 2 is 1a, and negative 24 divided by 2 is negative 12. Now let's factor. I need opposite signs. Biggest one positive. So let's list the factors of 12. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. Opposite signs, biggest one positive. All 3 of these multiply to negative 12, but only negative 3 and 4 will add to give me positive 1. So bring your GCF along, and you'll have a minus 3, a plus 4. On number 4, once again, I notice a GCF of 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Negative 24 divided by 4 is negative 6. And 20 divided by 4 is 5. So I need same signs. Both of those signs need to be negative. So with 5 being prime, my only factors is 1 and 5. But both of those need to be negative. So both of these will multiply to give me 5, but add to give me negative 6. Bring your GCF over, and we'll have p minus 1, p minus 5. Okay. So, when a cannot be factored out by a GCF, we can possibly still factor the trinomial. This particular method uses the slip and slide method. We are not going to do that. We are going to do the Miss Patton method. And it's not really my method, but we're going to end up with 4 terms where we'll factor by grouping so that our next lesson will be a breeze because you'll already know how to do it, okay? So let's get started. You're still going to use the same sign methods. If C is positive, same signs. Middle term will tell you both positive or both negative. If C is negative, you need opposite signs. The middle term will tell you what the biggest factor should be. So looking at number 1, I'll see that I have a 2 in front of my squared term, but I don't have a GCF where I can take that away. So I'm going to have to factor a different way. I can't list the factors of 3 anymore because I now have a number in the front. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that number in the front and your last number. My new form, remember before it was x squared plus bx plus c. This is going to be ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take my a term and I'm going to multiply it to my C term, or I'm going to multiply 2 times 3 to get 6. And that is what I'm going to list the factors of. So 6 has factors of 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. Now, since C is positive, I know I need same signs. Both of those signs need to be positive. So I'm in good shape. So both of these multiply to give me 6, but only 2 and 3 will add to give me 5. Now before, that was my answer. However, when you have a number in front of your squared term, you're only getting started. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that 2x squared and you're going to write it down, and you're going to take that positive 3 and you're going to write it down. But you're going to take that 5x in the middle and you're going to replace it with the 2 factors that you found here. So we're going to do a positive 2x and a positive 3x. Now the reason that I put x's behind these two is because I should be able to take these 2 terms and add them together to get my middle term. This is FOIL, first, outer, inner, and last. Okay, so you are most assuredly reversing the FOIL process here, going from the answer back to the multiplication problem. Now, when you have 4 terms in a polynomial and you're asked to factor it, what you want to do is create 2 groups, group 1 and group 2. When you make your 2 groups, make sure that your signs match. Positive, 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 positive. So we're in good shape. Now, in each group, you want to find your greatest common factor. 2x squared plus 2x has a GCF of 2x. 3x plus 3 has a GCF of 3. So take your first GCF. Remember, GCFs sit on the outside of your parenthesis, and divide, and that will go inside your parenthesis. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1, so that'll give us 1x, which is just x. And then 2x divided by 2x is 1. Now let's take that positive 3 and bring it down. I'm putting a positive 3 here, and if it had been minus, I would put a negative 3 here. Now divide. 3x divided by 3 is 1x. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Do you see how these 2 parentheses match? They have to match in order for this to work. If these 2 parentheses don't match, then you need to go back and check your GCF or your division, one or the other, because there's a mistake somewhere. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to factor out that x plus 1. And then in our other parentheses, we're going to put our 2 GCFs. And that is our factored form. Now we can FOIL this out and make sure that we get back to 2x squared plus 5x plus 3, but you'll see that you do, and so everything is great. Okay? Example number 2. First of all, look for a GCF. Always look for a GCF first. This one doesn't have one. Okay? So we're going to take 5, which is A, and multiply it to C, which is 6, to get 30. Now, that's a positive 30 because 5 times 6 is positive 30, so that means I need same signs. Both of those signs, according to my middle number, need to be negative. So let's list the factors of 30. 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, and 5 times 6. Now again, I need same signs, both signs negative. So negative, 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 negative. Now all 4 sets of factors will multiply to give me positive 30, but only negative 2 and negative 15 will add together to give me my middle number of negative 17. Now remember, this first term, you're just going to write it down. This last term, you're just going to write it down. But you're going to take this negative 17m and you're going to replace it with the 2 factors that you just found, negative 2m and negative 15m. And now you have 4 terms. Make 2 groups and check your signs. This particular group is positive negative. So that means this group needs to be positive negative, but it's not. It's negative positive. If your groups don't have the same signs, then what you want to do is make your second GCF negative. Don't make the first one negative, make the second one negative. Now, let's find the GCF of group 1. 5m squared minus 2m. 5 and 2 are prime, so their GCF is automatically 1. M squared and m have a GCF of m. Now, we've already determined this GCF needs to be negative, but what is it? 15 and 6 have a GCF of 3. Since they don't share an m, I can't take out an m. So let's bring down that m and divide by it. 5 divided by 1 is 5. 2 minus 1 is 1. Negative 2 divided by 1 is negative 2. M over m cancels out. Now bring down that negative 3. Negative 15 divided by negative 3 is a positive 5m. 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. Do you see how your two parentheses match? If they don't match, go back to the drawing board. But since they do match, factor out that matching parenthesis. And that's going to be one of your answers. The two GCFs will go in the second parenthesis as your second part of your answer. You can FOIL this out to check your work, but it FOILs out beautifully to get you back to 5m squared minus 17m plus 6. Okay, step 1, check for a GCF. We don't have one. So let's multiply A times C. 6 times negative 4 is a negative 24. The number you factor is negative, so that tells me I need opposite signs. The middle number tells me that my biggest factor should be negative. So let's list the factors of 24. Now, again, I need opposite signs because it's negative. My biggest factor needs to be negative. So let's go through and write all this down. Okay, opposite signs, all of these multiply to negative 24, but only 3 and negative 8 will add to give me negative 5. So let's take the 6y squared and bring it down, and take the negative 4 and bring it down. But this negative 5y in the middle, we're going to replace it with 3 and negative 8. So positive 3y and negative 8y. Now let's make our two groups. Group 1 is positive, group 2 is negative. So since the signs don't match in each group, let's make our second GCF a negative. Now looking at group 1, 6 and 3 have a GCF of 3. Y squared and y have a GCF of y. 8 and 4 have a GCF of 4. They don't share a y. So bring down the 3y and divide. 3 will go into 6 2 times. 2 minus 1 is 1. 3y divided by 3y is a positive 1. Now bring down your negative 4. Negative 8y divided by negative 4 is 2y. Negative 4 divided by negative 4 is a positive 1. Look at your matching parentheses. It's necessary. So factor out 2y plus 1. And then your two GCFs that are left will go in your other parenthesis. All right, look for a GCF. We don't have one, so multiply A times C. 12 times negative 5 is negative 60. Since your multiplication number is negative, I need opposite signs. That's a negative and a positive. Your biggest factor should be positive. So I have 1 times 60, 2 times 30, 3 times 20, 4 times 15, 5 times 12, and 6 times 10. Now again, I need opposite signs, biggest one positive. So I'm going to make all my little factors negative. So all of these will multiply to give me negative 60, but only negative 4 and 15 will add to give me positive 11. So 12c squared is staying, negative 5 is staying. we're taking that 11c in the middle and replacing it with our two new factors, negative 4c and positive 15c. Now group 1, group 2, positive, negative, positive, negative. So the signs are the same, so both GCFs will be positive. Now in group 1, 12 and 4 have a GCF of 4. C squared and C have a GCF of C. 15 and 5 have a GCF of 5. This one doesn't have a C, so we're good. 4 will go into 12 3 times. 2 minus 1 is 1. Negative 4c divided by 4c is negative 1. Bring down your second GCF. 15 divided by 5 is 3. Negative 5 divided by 5 is negative 1. See how your two parentheses match? So factor out that matching parenthesis, and then your two GCFs will go in the other parenthesis, and you're done. All right, so that's factoring with a number other than 1 in front of your squared term. You need to work on 1 through 6, on 7 through 10, factor out a GCF first, and then factor what's left. Have a good day.